Welcome to Soundtown, episode 9. This is
Number
Eric.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9. Number 9.
Dude, you can't say it again.
Beatles reference.
You can't say it because we're gonna
get sued.
Yeah, it costs like $1 billion or whatever.
Number 10.
This is my buddy Eric.
This is my buddy Russ.
I'm your buddy. Dude, I didn't see this coming.
Yeah, whatever. Welcome back to Soundtown, guys.
Today's guest is Pete Kline of Stand and Wave. Now, he's Eric standing and waving, you can't tell. You can't tell if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, and you can't tell if you're watching on YouTube. You just saw his crotch because he stood up and he was out of frame. But we are available on all those platforms. We were talking to Pete from Stand and Wave, and we were very, very blunt with him and upfront and candid when we said, Pete, we don't know you very well, but we want to get to know you better. And I thought we had a really, really great conversation with him.
I agree. And I hope you all know him better too now.
Yeah, we unfortunately didn't get into too much music stuff because everything else about him was so interesting. So if you're looking to learn more about Mr. Pete Kline, then this is the podcast for you. Without further ado, here's our conversation with Pete Kline.
Let's forget about it. For a while, I'm staring down denial of all the times that I could never fall asleep. I want the high.
Okay, so like everyone's comfortable, we're all good here. Pete, you good?
Yeah, I'm chilling. Also, my phone's plugged in a. It's like I can go for whatever amount of time.
So we're gonna go all night, then, is what you're saying?
I can go for 12 hours. After that, I might need some water.
Oh, you know what? I'm at 32% myself. I should have thought about this. No, we're gonna be good. Well, Pete, I think the best way to start this, the way that we know Stand and Wave was that our first introduction was being on that split with you guys with Elephant Jake.
Yeah, that was fun.
Sorry to cut you off.
No problem. Yeah, that was fun. Is all I was saying.
Yeah, if I'm being completely honest with you, because I feel like we're close enough where I could be honest with you like that. I literally never heard of you guys before in my entire life.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, we were the same way. We were the same way.
Okay, cool.
Because Sal from EJ was like, "Oh, it's us and you guys and Shark Club," and I was like, "Who's Shark Club?" But then I heard your tracks that you were putting out because we were recording last out of everybody, and I was like, okay, this band is good.
Yeah, and like you said, you were recording last, so it was like, what are we gonna get from them? And your tracks were awesome. So I think we were kind of on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
When it came to that.
Yeah, no, it ended up being a more like cohesive kind of split than I figured it would be.
It was powerful.
I wonder if people still listen to that thing.
I do.
They should. I
hope so. Do you remember? We had I mean, that was a weird group chat to be in because again, there was so many people that we all like didn't know, but it was really talented people, so it was fine. But do you remember what we originally wanted to name the EP?
Yeah. It was. I remember it being trademarked. I remember the problem it being like trademarked or copyright. But the original
cover photo was trademark and copyright, and the title was trademark and copyright. I'm actually, you know what? I brought this up, and I can't even remember what we named it, so I'm going to try and find it on the internet.
I don't remember this because I don't have Facebook, so I was left out of all these conversations.
Yeah, Eric was not there.
I see. Yeah, I remember the name being super long with just like a bunch of references to like campy horror movies.
So I got it. You want me to read it to you?
Yeah, read it.
Elephant Shark Wave presents Friday the 13th, the made-for-TV movie, the original soundtrack, Volume 1 Remastered.
I do remember that.
That's a pretty solid name.
And the album art was made by my buddy Nick from college, and it had the Jason mask on it, and that's why it got flagged.
Why was the name flagged? How did the name get?
I think
because it's Friday the 13th.
The name got flagged because I remember the person who was putting it on like DistroKid or whatever, or CD Baby or whatever they used. The title was too long.
That's why. I was gonna say I feel like we could have gotten away with that. Like, who was gonna like sue us over The name
I
of our
think
split.
just it was too many characters, which is funny because that's what the joke was.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, now if someone's listening to this and they're like, I've never heard of it before, it's called, I think, just Split.
I
And
believe.
the art that is on there is made by my other friend Logan, who's a really talented artist, Logan Stahl. Anyway,
Okay. No, I'm starting to put like people together now. I think I know who Logan is.
Cool.
Just via Twitter.
And then I'm trying to pinpoint though. So we put that out. Do you remember what year that was?
2017.
2017. I don't think we had the opportunity to see you guys play, let alone meet you, until maybe years after that.
2019,
right?
I think. 2019.
Eric, have
we
you
played...
even met Stand and Wave?
Yeah, I met you guys a couple times in Philly. I think
Yeah, it was definitely
I think
Philly.
last summer or last fall, I think was the first time we ever met face to face. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And it was brief.
The time that sticks out to me, or at least Russ was there, was the Halloween gig.
Yes, I did that by myself.
Yeah, and then there was definitely some other Philly gigs before that, because I know for a fact that it wasn't only you two. I'd ticked off meeting, I think, every member of Shark Club, which was
cool.
Which was like, because that's something I had meant to do for a while, because I was like, I made a split with these people and I haven't even met them all, so I might as well like remember that I have to meet them all. And then I did, and it was pleasant. That was a terrible night for us.
The Halloween gig?
Yeah, well, okay, so we had played a gig in New Paltz, New York.
Yeah.
Like that afternoon. So we double booked the day.
I remember you telling me this.
Yeah, we double booked the day, and we didn't learn the songs. We were playing Built to Spill. We were covering Built to Spill, which is like my
the Halloween
favorite band.
gig was in our friend's basement in Philly, and they had all these bands come on and do cover sets.
Yes.
And so I went, and I think I can't remember if I did Katy Perry cover set or Taylor Swift.
You did a combo cover set, I believe.
And then right after I played, I had to leave, unfortunately, because I had work the next day. I felt really bad. But yeah, you guys were trying to remember your Built to Split.
We had to play Built to Spill, and we like I knew the songs just from loving Built to Spill, but
yeah.
Oh my goodness! Like we learned them in the car on the way there, and it was just a kind of a nightmare. But it ended up fine. It ended up being kind of a fun night. We got to chill with the other band. Sweet Peach is really cool. Shout out to Sweet Peach.
Great.
But yeah, fun.
Yeah,
night.
everyone was super nice there. And again, I hate being that guy who shows up to the gig, plays first, and then doesn't stick around for everybody else.
And then,
I feel
bounces.
so guilty, but I had work the next day.
Yeah. Having work is a valid excuse, though. You ever be at those gigs where like the locals refuse to like go first?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Nightmare. Oh well. I mean, none of that's a problem anymore, really, right?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry for just talking, but I mean, that's not even really a problem anymore now. No one's gonna play a live gig for like the next couple whatevers.
I know. We talked to all our guests about that. Like, when do you think that'll be a little, like, more possible? Maybe never.
I don't mean to be like an alarmist or a pessimist, but I'm going to be. I don't know. I think like we can be certain that like life might return to normal around like 2022. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, better play it.
Like I'm not planning on doing anything in 2021 like that's super spectacular. I would love to. Obviously, the sooner the better, but I don't know. It's just been brutal. I mean, honestly, it depends who's in charge. But
definitely,
like the current handling of COVID has not been incredible, and I don't expect it to be that incredible going forward. So, yeah, 2022. I would say.
2022.
Well, because Americans just don't seem to care that much that there's COVID. Like I'll be on my Instagram or whatever, and for some reason still following like a bunch of people from my high school, which is a yikes. and
Yeah.
like they're all just out partying and stuff.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
see
like,
that. It makes me really sad.
yeah, this is a common thing. I'm not the only one. I've talked to a lot of people about this, right? So like, if I don't know, stay home, wear a mask. It's so easy.
Yeah, like Eric and I right now we're in the same room, but we don't do anything. And this is like the only time I see Eric is to do this podcast, just
Yeah,
really briefly.
yeah, you can
And
do.
other than that, I'm locked in my house like all the time. I
Yeah.
like work from home. I do everything like that.
Yeah, I'm in that work from home mode too. But yeah, you can do like some stuff. Like for instance, my Dungeons and Dragons group gets together. But like I know
Yeah.
where all those people
That's
have
essential.
been. I'm very like strict with that kind of stuff. But like so you could do like some smaller get-togethers. Like I don't think that's a huge deal. You can like see your friends. It's just like going out is a big no-no for me.
Yeah.
To like especially for like drinking.
Yeah.
Like the fact that there's a lot of colleges that are like fully on campus and stuff is just I don't know, freaks me out.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, look. I mean, I get where people are coming from. Like, yeah, it sucks that you have to be locked up in your house and like not see anybody for X amount of time. It's just the way it is, though.
Yeah.
Like, and businesses are opening because they're desperate. Like, of course, then you're open. But oh my God, some people, everyone's just like congregating with their friends and like hugging and going apple picking.
Oh
and,
my
like,
God,
having
yeah.
masks. And it's just like you can take that extra step of being just a little more safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
And it really bugs me since, like, I mean, until recently I lived in New York. And New York, actually, for all the complaints I have about the governing body of New York, they did a super good job handling COVID. Like, New York was the epicenter for COVID, like, right
Yes.
at its beginning. I think it was New Rochelle that had, like, one of the first U.S. COVID cases. And then it just exploded from there, and they just locked everything down really quick. And yeah, and then New York went from like top COVID state to like very few cases, and then for some reason everybody in at least like I don't know about the city, but everyone in like upstate for some reason took that as like, okay, I guess now COVID's over and I'm bored, so I'm gonna go drinking with my pals, and like it's just I don't know.
I think it was also a lot of people from the city like escaping to upstate.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there's also like more open like businesses upstate.
Mm-hmm.
In the city itself, the everything is way stricter because like an outbreak in the city would just be like devastating.
Yeah.
Also the suburbs and upstate and all that is like it's way more conservative than you would find in the city. So like the further upstate you go, like the more like anti-maskers you're gonna find. I mean, hell, there's people who. I'm sorry, can I say hell? I said it twice now.
You can definitely say HE double hockey sticks.
Okay.
You might
You have the
edit it
balls.
out. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, there's people who like flying Confederate flags up there. I could talk forever about upstate New York. I think it's one of the weirdest places in the world. But
Did you say that's where you are now? Where are you now?
I'm in Philly
Or
now.
no, you're in Philly now,
Yeah.
but like where do you live?
I live up in upstate New York. Not that far upstate. I live like in like the Hudson Valley area.
Is that near like Marist?
No, it's like I'm trying to like think of anything even remotely interesting that's near where I live.
It's probably nothing. So like
yeah.
my entire family is from Utica, New York.
Okay, you're
It's
way
like
south of
an hour
that.
outside of Albany and Syracuse.
South of that. So if you
It's south of that.
if
Yeah.
if you shoot down south towards New York City, like an hour and a half, 2 hours, you'll hit like right around where I live.
Okay. Were you featured? There was a Simpsons episode where they went to like every upstate New York town and they mentioned all of them. Do you know if your town was featured in that? Or
I'm
you
not
don't-
sure.
you
I
know
haven't
what I'm
seen the
talking about?
episode. I was never a big Simpsons person.
Oh, you're not? So like, not really a lot of my relatives are, but when that came out, it was all over the news, like the local news, because, they mentioned Utica. But then they mentioned, again, like every small town, or not small town, but like every upstate New York town, and almost all my relatives were like, I've never heard of those places before in my life.
That's
But
hilarious.
that's just what upstate New York is.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is. It's even like I don't know. There's even arguments over like what is considered upstate New York. Like people from where
Yeah.
I'm from will be like, we're not upstate New York, but like to me, anything north of Yonkers is kind of just upstate New York.
You heard it here first, folks.
I don't know. I'm not the arbiter.
Pete just drew the line.
I did not draw the line. I'm not the arbiter of what's upstate New York, but I live pretty close to Yonkers.
Are you still? So you have a twin brother in the band, right?
I do.
I think we talked about it before, but we're on the podcast, so we should rehash old conversations.
Right. Yes.
I'm a twin as well.
Right. Yes.
Do you still live with your brother?
I did until recently. He didn't move, so I'm no longer living with him. I saw him the other day, though.
How's he doing? He's in
chilling.
good health, I suspect.
Yeah, he's
Good.
he's kind of got it. He's kind of got it made right now. He's tutoring for a community college and he tutors physics because he has a physics degree.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a brainy individual. But he just gets to he just sits there until someone comes in for the tutoring. But he's paid hourly, so his the work from home thing is really working out for him, as I think it's working out for a lot of people. By the way, I think if COVID showed us anything, it's that a lot of jobs that are traditionally done at workplaces can be done from home.
Definitely. I mean, my brother works in Chicago, but he's working from home, and his company, even when it first started, they said, we're not going to expect anyone back until January, which I noticed a lot of companies were doing. What kind of work do you do, Pete?
I'm a freelance writer, so I'll write about whatever
Wow.
needs to be written. Mostly, I look to write about things that I really like. I have a few major passions that I aim to write about, and then I'll just kind of grind my teeth writing about whatever needs to be written about just to make money. For instance, I had a pretty long stint of writing about diagnosing car problems, which is funny because I'm not a cars person. I don't know much about my car at all, but I learned a lot about my car doing the research for those writings. So it'll be how to know when your air oil filter is messed up or whatever. And I would write about. I wrote hell, I don't know, a bunch of articles for all different basically car dealerships, all through the same freelance client that I guess these car dealerships were contracting for this work. So that's the kind of stuff I'll do. I'm getting paid by the article, which can be kind of stressful because you never know how much money you're gonna make this week, but hey, we manage. And then I'll write about basketball or video games or music, all those things that I really like. Those are the projects I really pursue, but obviously when I need money quick, I'll just do whatever.
And do you have any passion projects? Have you ever aspired to write that great American novel?
I started writing a novel.
Seriously?
Yes. Yeah.
That's so cool. Can you give us any details about it, or is it how
beans.
long have you been working on it?
Oh, only a month. So I'm still kind of in the outline. I don't even know what happens in the end or whatever,
That's so cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It might never come to be. It's kind of just something I'm doing more for fun.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm really into fantasy novels. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings kid. Love Dungeons and Dragons. So I'll probably do something in that kind of. I really liked Game of Thrones, the show, at least until I saw the ending.
Are you into Skyrim too?
Yes. Yeah, I like Skyrim.
Cool. I just got back into that after a couple years of not playing it.
When I talked to you last, you were telling me to get into Civilization, right?
Did I?
Why, does that not sound like something you would say?
Oh, no, it 100% sounds like something I would say.
Yeah, because I think you were hosting a Discord to celebrate your
Oh
with
yeah,
him.
that's okay. Yes, because that's
And you were
right
so
when I was playing like
gracious,
100.
or whoever was organizing it was gracious to invite me to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, that was so fun.
It was a lot of fun to catch up with you and a bunch of pals. But I think that's where I was telling you about whatever video games I was playing, which is never really a lot, and you told me to get into Civ.
Civ, I think
Which I
Civ's a
haven't
really
done
good
yet.
game.
I don't know why I'm talking about it, because I haven't done it yet.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Civ's like that was right when I was playing like hundreds of hours of Civ. Like I put like
Yeah, that was the heat. I mean, we're still in the throes of coronavirus and quarantine, but like that was
the
at
heat.
the top of it.
Yeah, that was when I was fully quarantined. Like I wouldn't leave my house
Yeah.
for anything other than like to get some food or whatever. Like the
Yeah.
bare necessities, because that was like oh my god, that was when there was no toilet paper. I remember that.
Yes, yeah, that era of
Dire times.
So when you mentioned writing about basketball, I know you're a big sports fan. Do you get to write about sports?
Yeah, I get to write
a
about
lot?
sports fairly frequently. It's kind of a popular like freelancing topic.
Sure. What do you do, like high school sports, or is it just like professional stuff for?
Mostly professional. And then also fantasy sports are actually a pretty popular thing.
Sure, I can imagine.
Or like the daily fantasy betting. So I don't know. Unfortunately, like I feel like I'm slowly just developing a gambling addiction just from being part of the daily fantasy sports kind of like sphere. But it's I don't know. They're a lot of fun.
Does a lot of research have to go into something like that? Or
Yeah.
I know you to be a really big basketball fan. Are you a sports fan in general?
I like baseball. I like, but not that much. I really like football, but mostly for the fantasy aspect. And basketball is like my main major sport that I follow.
Sure.
So those are the three. I can't really get into hockey. I've tried it a number of times. I don't know. I can't see what's
That's the
going
only
on.
one I'm into.
You like hockey? I like. Can you sell me on hockey? I don't really understand the appeal.
Sell us both.
I don't know. I probably wouldn't be able to sell you unless, like, the only thing I say is, like, just go to a game and see it in person, which you can't do now, so...
Have you ever been to a hockey game, though, Pete?
I haven't.
They're fun.
See,
it's a lot more exciting when you're there.
I've heard that as well. I don't know. You know what I do like about hockey, though? I appreciate that they let the players fight. If like, okay, so if I'm like a professional athlete and another professional athlete's making me mad and we just want to settle it with a fight, like, who is some like idiot in a black and white shirt to say that I can't do that? So they just let them fight, which is cool. Like
it's the fastest paced game with giant men with weapons in their hands and blades on their feet.
They destroy each other.
Stop and let players like settle things and cool it down. It's gonna get like out of hand really fast.
No, that's true.
Like fighting seems extreme, but it's actually a way to like cool things down a little bit.
Yeah, I could actually see that. That's smart. Yeah, because they could really go at each other with like the blades is the scary part.
Yeah, like Happy Gilmore style.
Do you remember that movie where The Rock is the Tooth Fairy?
Yeah, it's called The Tooth Fairy, isn't it?
Yeah, but in that movie,
he was a hockey player. There was something involved with hockey.
Yeah, he was a hockey player. He was like the best hockey player or whatever. Which in the game plan, he was also like the best football player.
See, I've seen the game plan. I wasn't gonna comment on the Tooth Fairy because I haven't seen this one, but I've definitely seen the game plan.
I'm just bringing up Tooth Fairy real quick because I remember he's the best, and then he loses his job or whatever because he got into a fight, and in the fight, this movie was like rated G or something. He took his what are they called?
Skates?
Took his skates off and then like held the blade part up to somebody's neck or something.
That's
and they
absurd.
showed it, but that was like, oh, you did that. That's like unspeakable. You're out of the league.
It's a pretty big no-no.
And then he became the Tooth Fairy somehow. But I just remember like that being very, very, very violent.
Yeah, it's exceptionally violent especially for a movie about a Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
The Tooth Fairy was always the most unsettling of like the childhood, like I don't know, visitors you might say, to me, because what is she doing with all those teeth? What's the plan?
That's a good question.
That's not for you to know.
Yeah, I mean, and where does she get all this money?
He is right though. There's not a lot of popular folklore behind them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at least Santa,
Could be a
like,
guy, could be a girl, could be something else.
at least Santa Claus has, like, like a viable, like, story behind it. Like, okay, so there's this factory of, like, I don't know, elves. Are they like, are they like
Yeah,
indentured?
sweatshop.
Are they indentured servants, or like, I don't know, but like just strange, like, mass-produced toys that get built and then given to children for Christmas. Like, okay, but like at least there's like a process and then like an execution and a purpose. But for the
I'm
Tooth
not
Fairy,
sure I know most about the Easter Bunny either.
At least the Easter Bunny isn't sneaking into your room and
Yeah, the
doing
Easter
things
Bunny-
under your pillow and taking your teeth.
yeah, the Easter Bunny can remain mysterious because he's not sneaking to your room. That is right. Like, I don't know. It freaks me out, the thought of like this tiny creature like
You
going
don't
under
know
my
if they're
pillow.
tiny. They could be huge.
Could be a giant bunny.
And then, like, also, like, I always got, like, 50 cents from the Tooth Fairy. But, like, you go to school, and some third grader's like, the Tooth Fairy left me, like, $20. And
Yeah.
and you're just like, okay, well, I guess not.
My parents
I guess
got me
not for me.
books.
You used to get books instead of money?
It was terrible. I'd have books under my pillows.
That is hysterical.
That's
You have
good.
some good
That's
parenting.
good parenting.
That is good parenting.
I was like, damn, I don't even want to lose teeth now.
Honest to God, though, when I was a kid, like, I had a piggy bank, but not really. And so I'd get the money, and then I'd just be like, here, Mom, take care of this. And I don't know what she'd do with it. She'd probably
Yeah.
just put it there and then just put it back in the pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really funny. Now, you know what would be like a big brain parenting move is to staple the money in the back of the book and only give it to the kid when they can like tell you what happens.
Whoa.
Book report.
Not with, like, Google and stuff now, though.
Yeah, some kid's just gonna spark note it on his iPad.
Dang.
I don't know how off course you care about me going, but one of my jobs that I had before I moved was and before COVID hit was I worked after school at a like an after school program for kids whose parents like worked late or whatever.
Sure.
And those kids had like iPads. Like, it's just like it's like standard operating procedure now for like your kid in like 5th grade to have like a phone and an iPad, or like a phone and a laptop. And like, I don't know if this is like a boomer take or not, but I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about giving like my 4th grader access to the internet, like unmitigated, unfiltered.
Yeah, it's a little terrifying of a thought.
Yeah, it's
but at the
extremely
same
terrifying.
time, it's like we gave our grandparents and our parents like Facebook and stuff, and look how that turned out. So
Yeah.
it's like maybe just humans in general just shouldn't have the internet. and
Yeah, maybe
stuff.
the internet's too powerful for us to handle in general.
But while we're all the way off course here, can I ask about your Dungeons and Dragons group?
Oh, okay. How long do you want this podcast to be? Like,
Oh, boy.
I can actually talk for many hours about Dungeons and Dragons. I think
you're Dungeon Master.
I am okay. So I run 2 campaigns. I'm the Dungeon Master in 2 campaigns, and I am
Busy
a
man.
player in 3 campaigns.
Whoa.
So I
busier
play
man.
Dungeons and Dragons like 3 to 5 nights a week,
Wow.
which is a huge commitment.
How long has the longest campaign been going on for?
So my brother Jeff, who is an excellent dungeon master, I'd say he's even better than I am, which is high praise. His campaign's been going on for I think 2 years. But sometimes like breaks happen. Like, we used to go on
Yeah.
tour, and so we couldn't play for a couple weeks or whatever. But there's probably been close to 60 sessions, 70 sessions, at like 3 hours a clip. So a lot of time. And but that one's really slow paced. Like, that one we're level 5. And then in mine, like, I have a little bit of a faster pace. The one I'm DMing now is like we've been playing for like a year, but we took like a really big break in the middle because tour, and then COVID happened. Like, January tour, and then I was really busy in February, and then COVID happened. So we took like a big break. But we've probably had like 25 sessions or so, and we're level 6. So I mean, the pacing can be in all different ways. But like, have you guys played Dungeons and Dragons at all?
Yeah,
Not like a legit game, but just I've played like here and there with friends who are pretty into it.
Oh,
But I've
cool.
never myself like gotten seriously into it. But I feel like I need to play it with people who are like just like super into it. I need
I
to
would
like
I would I would
immerse
100%
myself in
invite
it.
you to like. I'll start a campaign. Like, I'm down.
Cool.
That would be really fun for me.
my friends in college, like I had a pretty like established friend group,
Mhm.
and once a week in the evenings they would all hang out without me, and I started to catch on, and someone broke it to me was, oh, we're doing a Dungeons and Dragons thing, and at first I'm like jealous.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why did you guys think of me? And they're like, well, honest to God, like I didn't really like say I didn't complain to them because I'm not a baby, but they were like, we didn't really like think to invite you because we didn't think you would like it. And in my head I'm like, frick that. And so they let me sit in on one session, and I'm like, yeah, I would not like this. Thank you. Sorry, I'm sure it's fun for you.
So part of me thinks that it's not for everybody, and then part of me thinks that it really is for everybody if they just give it a. So like, I also had like an
It's the time
had like an
commitment for me.
established.
That's really what it is.
Yeah, it's all about who you play with.
Sure.
I had an established group of friends in college as well. But it was the opposite situation where I was like, let's do this. Let's play D&D. Come on. And everyone was like, nah, not really into that. Like, that seems like something like I think what really scares people off a lot of the times is like the role-playing aspect of it. For instance, I make all my I don't make them, but I really do push my players to give their character like a voice.
Oh, I definitely want to play with you.
Like
That's
any
so fun.
yeah, like it's really fun. Like any like any voice. It can be like a stupid voice. It's just like different from their own voice, and I think what it does is like it kind of puts them in the like correct mentality to make decisions for a person that isn't them. Like, your character isn't you. Like, you have to like make decisions based on what your character knows, not like what you as the player might know. So it's I think the voice and like the role playing aspect of it are helpful in kind of that. But I don't know. I could talk D&D for hours, and I will. So feel free to
imagine a Stand and Wave Shark Club Elephant Jake campaign.
I know that Kyle and Colin from EJ really like D&D. So that could be manufactured, to be honest. That could be done.
Damn, yeah.
I mean, we also know other bands that exist.
There's only 3 bands.
Yeah, there's only 3 bands to ever exist. There's only been one EP to ever come out.
Yeah, I mean every other entity that claims to be a band that's not one of those 3 is just a Twitter account.
Everything that could be said and done in music has been done.
That's true.
Has Stand and Wave been a part of any other splits, or was that the only one?
That was the only one. I was looking into doing another one, because like now we're writing a full length. Like now
that's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. And it's
how many EPs have you released?
Well, I'd say 4. We released one in like 2016. That I really don't like that one. That was like a different era of like songwriting for me. I think I might take it down because it was written before one of our guitar players joined. Like, there's so much that I hate about it.
Okay.
But it has a lot of streams, so maybe not. I don't know. And then the split came out, which we really liked. That was a ton of fun, and it was kind of launched like the new version of Stand and Wave. And then we got to Get Out of Here released, and we wrote that in 2018, December 2018. So like more than a full year after the split. And then we didn't do anything but tour in 2019. We toured a lot. And then in 2020, COVID, or we went on a big January tour. We were writing an LP. Then COVID happened. We wrote the EP like for COVID, which is like a little acoustic EP because I was stuck at home with Jeff. And then, yeah, now we're here, and I'm kind of just still stuck. So I've kind of started over everything from scratch, writing a new LP. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have this experience, but like a kind of like concern that like, oh, this isn't the same as what I was writing before, so people might hate it.
Oh
You know?
no, I have faith that people will just be accept that it might be different. But if I find it to be a jam, I'm sure the people that are listening will find it to be a jam. Because then you always have to ask yourself, like, who am I writing this for? Am I writing it for me, or am I writing it for somebody else?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's exactly it, right? So like, cause like I'm 24 now, so
Yeah,
like
same.
I'm starting to feel old as shit, right? Like
What's that?
compared to these other. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I should I not? I swore.
Oh no, you could say it. You could swear. I literally just not hear what you said.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I feel old as shit. Like, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I don't know how active you guys are on the cesspool of Twitter. But like I feel like everyone there is so young compared to me, and like I'm just watching like what the scene is becoming as far like in
Uh,
quarantine. It's just like a bunch of people who are just like young and angry and like behind their phone and computer screens, just like putting that out into the Twitter
sure.
sphere. And like I don't know, part of me just feels so separated from a lot of that. I don't know if it's because of age or whatever, but I don't know. I'm starting to get older, and like those like that emo style of songwriting just like isn't it's not the same to me anymore.
I don't think
Um
that's necessarily a bad thing, Pete.
I don't think it's bad either. Like of course I still love like a good emo bop. Like I'm not like just some old curmudgeon who's just like, "Oh, like
These damn
modern baseball
kids.
was never a good band." Like I like these bands. Like I
Don't say that
sincerely
even
do
as a
think
joke.
this I think there's a lot of good stuff coming out of the scene right now, in that vein. It's just that whenever I try to write it, it doesn't feel like a reflection of what's going on in my life.
Well, and do you attest that to, an honest take, or are you hard on yourself when you write something?
I'm definitely hard on myself, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because maybe it actually does suck. That's the thing. Like you never know, and no one who actually likes you will ever tell you that it sucks. So you kind of have to just rely on you and the other members of your band, like knowing whether or not it sucks. And like honestly, at that point, it's just like so if I think this sounds good, then I'm just gonna release it.
Good
Sure.
music is good music, and people will always listen to good music.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
That's my take.
yeah, that's a good take. People will always listen to good music. That's why I'm not that concerned. But I'm taking it slow. Like LP, like if it doesn't release until if it and I doubt it's gonna take this long. But it again, if I spend all of 2021 writing and recording this and it releases in 2022, I'm fine with that too. Like I don't feel like I have to do XYZ before a certain age or before a certain year.
Well, so you say that you're writing it. What's the standard wave writing style like? Like, do you write it an entire song, like drums and guitars and everything, or do you kind of write a skeleton and have the other guys throw their parts in?
It's exactly the second one.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Cool.
so like I'll write songs. I'll write half the LP and then Jeff will write half the LP. Um,
Great.
but we're on the new stuff. We're kind of trying to blur those lines a little bit. Like we'll work
Cool.
together on a song a little more, and then Nikhil and Brian will write their parts, or like I'll write the bass part, Jeff will write the lead, like or Brian will write the lead. Like we'll just leave it up to whoever's kind of having the like inspiration at that moment. But it will always come in with like a skeleton that's written by Jeff or me. I think that kind of lends. I don't know. I think our songs kind of sound like we do that though. Like they can all be like you can hear the acoustic kind of rhythm and like singer songwriter kind of like they're so lyrically focused. I'm trying to kind of get away from that, but it's hard when I'm usually writing by myself. Like
You know what? I run into that same exact thing, and I've never been able to put that into words because it's the same way that we'll operate because we have two singers where I'll write something and bring it to the band, and it's the same with Jake. The difference with us, and I hate myself that I do it. I have access to like record demos like all the way through. So when I write a song, I get overexcited and I start writing like the leads, and then I write maybe a bass part, and then maybe I'll write a drum part, and then I record a whole demo. And before I know it, like there's a whole song there, and it makes me feel like the other members of my band are like, oh, the song's done. And I encourage them to write their own stuff, and they do. I just hate that I get overexcited and I leave that collaborative experience behind. So when Jake, our other singer-songwriter, writes a song, it's just on an acoustic guitar. But my problem is I'll hear something I like, and I'll take it, and then I'll write the whole thing for that.
Yeah.
And his songs, at least in my ears, sound like, that acoustic singer-songwriter thing with just music added on top of it. And so we're in that process of finishing our new record, and I, at least in my mind, am really trying to push forward, how can we make this sound different? So I'm totally on the same exact wavelength as you.
Yeah, I'm definitely on that. Like, I don't know. I've told the others in my band before. Like, it's not that I don't. I don't mean to disparage this kind of band at all before I say this. I really like a lot of bands that are like this, but I don't want to become like just another band with twinkly Midwest emo riffs and kind of just like loud booming choruses. Like, I think those elements are great and I want to put them in. But I don't know. I'm constantly just trying to find ways for myself to kind of like expand my like musical vocabulary a little bit, because like I'm not like an incredible musician, so I'm just like doing my best to like just put something out there that conveys the emotions I want it to convey, and it's catchy and it sounds good and that people will like, but I don't know. I just don't want to be writing the same thing as everybody else.
Are there bands out there that you listen to who might have maybe started out in that, very generic emo sound or whatever genre that they're in, who later released something that's kind of, I don't want to say, maybe ear-opening is the right term?
Well, honestly, I don't know. You might laugh at me for saying this, but I think that Holy Ghost had a totally, like, as far as modern baseball's discography goes,
especially the B-side.
Yeah. Like, Holy Ghost kind of turned them in a different direction that makes me really wish they made another record after it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like what was coming after Holy Ghost felt like a I don't, like, how those first two records, and I love them to death, are such early mid-20s emo records. Like you can tell like how like the immature kind of cadence and like lyrical content as compared to Holy Ghost. And Holy Ghost was so much more like sonically kind of diverse, and the lyrical content was more like poetic and like more kind of what I was used to listening to before I got into emo. So yeah, that was an ear-opening record for me. I really liked the trajectory that band was going in before they broke up or went on hiatus or whatever.
Were you ever into Blink 182?
I've had my stints of listening to Blink 182, and I find them to be the opposite for some reason. Like, I think that Blink is really good at doing like corny, campy pop punk, and they're like, that's their art. Like, they're super good at like Damn It is like the perfect Blink song to me.
Yeah.
And I think when they kind of venture outside that box, not that I'd ever discourage them or anyone else from like doing whatever the hell they want with their own music. But it's, I don't know, like non strictly like pop punk Blink to me, just, I don't know, it never hit really that much. But if other people like it, then like that's cool.
Did you listen to Neighborhoods?
I didn't listen to Neighborhoods. Never listened to Neighborhoods because that was like after I was into Blink. Because Blink was more of like a high school thing for me. But
Yeah.
I don't know. People were mad at Neighborhoods. I remember people thinking Neighborhoods was terrible.
Yeah, I think on its initial release it was that, but looking back on it, that's my record of wow, they're changing their sound, but they're going in a really cool direction. And
Mhm.
before they could capitalize on it, Tom DeLonge left.
Yeah,
So I definitely,
I
if you're
could
looking
see
for
that.
something to listen to, check
I'll
that one
probably
out
listen to
because
that
I'd love to
tonight.
hear your reaction, even if it's still you don't like it.
Yeah, I'll listen to that tonight actually because I would be interested to see what direction Blink would kind of go in. You know, I
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was. I personally really liked it. It ended up being like one of my favorite overall albums of the 2010s
mhm.
because it took that step.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking to I don't know. I'm looking to make that step, but it's so hard to know what direction to go in.
Sure. Well, so I mean, outside of music, like, what do you use as inspiration for when you're writing a song?
Um
Is that a tough? That's like an impossible question. I don't know why I asked that. Sorry.
no, that's a good question because I have to think about it and then give like a good answer. Um which I don't know. A lot of your questions have been like that, which makes you a good questioner.
Oh, dude,
Hell yeah.
So,
sick.
inspirations outside of music, honestly, I think any creative content for me kind of just gets my creative juices flowing. Um, so I'll like if I'm watching a movie or TV, like even that can like spark just like ideas. And like I don't know, it sometimes feels like my brain is like kind of just like a rolling. It's like a snowball of ideas. Um, I have, so to preface this, this will make sense in the context of I have pretty severe ADHD. Um,
Okay.
so at least when I'm off medication, which is for me usually, which I probably should take it more, but unless I like have a ton of writing to do in one day, it kind of just makes me like feel really awful, so I don't take it. Um, but my brain's kind of just like this rolling ball of ideas and they'll all just come like an avalanche and they'll be all about different things. So like if I'm watching a movie and like I really like an idea that I see, uh like I'll write it down for like, okay, maybe I could put something like that in a story, and then from there, I don't know, for some reason like the creative kind of like is the creativity's kind of just like knocked loose and then I could just like write uh like songs, instruments, uh all that stuff. So I'd say like um any media that like conveys an emotion will allow me to kind of write music that kind of goes in that same emotional direction. Like even if it's something as simple as like if I'm watching Drake and Josh, I don't know. I don't really watch Drake and Josh, but like
Why
I was
not?
just trying to think of something that was like really
Just trying to
happy,
appease to the kids.
like pumped up. Yeah, I'm trying to appeal to children, so that they like my band. That's where you make the real big bucks. um, but yeah, like say like, and I wanted, and like I was watching Drake and Josh, and then I would be able to like write something that's really like funny, happy, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. That's as good of an answer as I could come up with.
Well, I asked that question because I remember I was watching an interview. I can't remember what band it was. I think it was Dexy's Midnight Runners, whoever does Come On Eileen. Somebody was interviewing the lead singer, and they said, "What music do you listen to for inspiration?" And he gave the most badass answer. He looked them dead in the eye and he said, "The last place I would look to for inspiration was other people's music." And I was like, "Oh,
Wow.
snap!
Wow,
This guy gets it."
wow, that's an
I wonder
intense
though,
answer.
Pete, like, say you soak something in, you get inspired.
Yeah.
What's the deciding factor of I'm gonna like write a song or like I'm gonna write an essay or that novel or whatever? Do they ever mix?
Um. Funny enough, no. It's almost just what ever, not whatever I feel like doing. It's all closer to like whatever's the closest. Like if I'm at my computer, I'll just open up Google Docs. But like if I'm sitting on the couch or whatever, like there's always a guitar next to me, so I'll just do that. You know. So it's just kind of whatever is, just like my creativity, I guess. That sounds like such a gross and like pompous way to put it.
No, not at all.
My creative process. I guess it just takes the path of least resistance, you know. Like I'll just do whatever, like calls out to me or whatever at the time is just what I'll do. Like like I don't know. I wrote a song last night that I ended up really liking. And the inspiring factor, I guess, for it was I forget what I was watching. It was just something stupid on like TV. It was I think it was a movie. Whatever. There was a character who was feeling lonely, and I was like, I too feel lonely in the quarantine, and I wrote a song about being lonely. So like it's, I guess it's mostly an emotional reaction thing to me. Like whatever my emotional reaction is to a piece of content I'm consuming is kind of the general emotion that I'll kind of like follow through and convey via whatever the next thing I'm writing is. So like I won't write any more of like, if I'm writing like an adventure novel, which I want to write an adventure novel because I'm like just a sucker for like good adventure. I won't write it when I'm like feeling sad. Unless
Yeah,
I
you definitely
want,
got to be in the right headspace.
yeah, unless I want like a sad scene. I'll save that scene. Like I'll never force myself to write something that conveys an emotion that I'm not feeling at the time. Like I'll just put it on the back burner until I feel that way again.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I hope I gave an answer that people can relate to or like. That was a really
You're
good question.
Perfect podcast answers. Don't think that you're over talking.
Have you done this before?
I have been on one other podcast.
Wait, was it as cool as this one though?
Nah.
Yes. I know he's lying.
I'm friends with the kid who runs the podcast. He's gonna kill me. His name's Josh. This podcast called "Where's the Remote?"
We don't get free advertisements.
That's fair. I'll pay for it. Don't worry. No, they mostly do a movies podcast anyway. Good kids. But
okay, we'll stay away from his territory.
We won't talk about movies then.
Yeah, you don't want to overlap with their content. I'm not a big movies guy though. I mean, I like them well enough. Our drummer Nikhil is a huge movie buff.
Russ is very into. I'm very into movies too. Russell's.
We talk about
movies all. We were just talking about Midsummer before this.
I saw Midsummer.
We just said we're not going to talk about movies.
I can talk about Midsummer because I saw Midsummer. Did you guys like
Let's talk
Midsummer?
about Midsummer.
I just saw it for the first time last night, and I enjoyed it. I really did. I thought it was good.
What did you think, Pete?
I thought it was Hereditary light.
That's what everyone says.
Yeah.
I liked Midsummer better than Hereditary. Though,
really?
Just as a full movie experience.
You're the first person I've heard say that.
So I personally, I don't know if you categorize it as horror.
It wasn't scary. It was just like unsettling.
It's definitely unsettling. I personally am not a horror guy.
Really? I love horror movies.
Because like, I know it's not going to make me feel good. So like, do you remember? This isn't horror. Do you remember when that movie Spotlight came out? You guys ringing any bells for anybody? It was a movie about. It was a true story about how like those journalists uncovered that priests were diddling little boys.
Okay.
You know, it's a serious film. It won the Oscar, I think, that year. I'm sure. I'm like, okay, I know this is good. It's like a good film, but I don't want to watch it.
Yeah,
I know what it's about.
Awful.
I'm not going to be feeling good about myself.
Yeah.
And my friends said, no, let's just watch it. And I watched it, and I felt like absolute shit.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't like horror movies for that same reason. But I watched Midsummer, and I tried not to like know anything about it going into it, hoping it would enhance my movie-going experience. And instead, it didn't enhance it, whatever the opposite of enhancing is. Dehanced?
Dehanced it.
Yeah, I personally was not really big into Midsummer. I think mainly it's because I don't like that kind of movie. I found it to be, like, gruesome for no reason. Does that make sense?
There was scenes in it that I thought, like, okay, they wanted to bill it as a horror movie, so they put this gore in.
And it was overly gory. Now, I went through a phase in high school where I could not find the war movie that had the gore that I was looking for some reason.
Okay.
I'm into that gore because, there's a reason for it, Like Stephen Private Ryan's good and all that other crap.
Yeah.
But for some reason, like this Midsummer, for me, it's too much.
Just hearing everybody talk about it for the past year, I was expecting like a wall-to-wall bloody gore fest, but I was like underwhelmed. Not underwhelmed, but there was just like a lot less blood and gore than I was expecting.
Well,
which at the same time made it more anxiety-inducing because like I was like, okay, I know crazy shit's gonna happen. I know there's gonna be blood and gore, but like it's just not coming yet. So it kept me like kind of like on edge the whole time.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was an anxiety producing movie for me as well. But I don't know. It didn't have like the reason I think it's worse than Hereditary is because it didn't have the impact. I don't want to spoil Hereditary, but there's a scene in Hereditary that just like put my jaw on the floor, like, and it was only like 25 minutes in. I have a feeling that
Should I
people.
watch Hereditary?
You should watch Hereditary.
Yeah,
Did you
I
like
didn't
it
even
like
know you haven't seen it. Yeah, I won't
Yeah.
spoil it. But
It-
people
'cause
who have
they're
seen
pretty
Hereditary
different.
know what scene I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's the pole.
It's like the catalyzing moment for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, okay.
Is it
yeah.
is it a scary movie?
It's pretty. It's
Yeah.
scarier
I don't know
than
that-
it's scarier than Midsummer, but it's not as. Actually, no, it's very unsettling.
Yeah,
but
Midsummer
it's
wasn't scary. It was just
yeah,
creepy and
it's
unsettling.
I mean, Hereditary is a lot like creepier and more like traditional scary.
Yeah, it is more traditionally scary. It has a darker color palette. Like,
Yeah.
Mm.
funny enough, when you mentioned Midsummer though, and you mentioned not wanting to know anything going in, did you know
Yeah.
that there was a study conducted? Now, I don't know the details of this study or whatever, but I can probably find it. Where people who have the endings of stories told to them generally like the stories more than people who go in blind. Like when you spoil something for somebody, like for some reason, people end up liking it better. Now, I'm not telling you people to like go out and spoil everything. Obviously, still don't spoil things, but it makes me feel better to know that it's still worth watching something, even if it gets spoiled for me. Like right when I hang up this phone call or a podcast being conducted via phone call, I am planning on watching the new hit series The Boys.
Ooh,
Uh,
I'm halfway through season 2.
Oh, I didn't start season 2 yet.
Is it good?
It's very good. It's so good.
The
I
Boys
won't,
is
I won't
pretty
tell you
good.
anything, but it's so good.
Yeah, I'd rather
we'll
not
talk
know
about this
anything,
next
but like,
time around the
in the
podcast.
event that I was spoiled, now I know that I can still watch things. So for everyone out there who doesn't want to watch something because it's been spoiled, just know about this study that makes it seem like people who are spoiled really end up liking a lot of stuff.
That's interesting. I think that'll work for most movies, but if I'm like, okay, Eric, I know that you saw Brigsby Bear because we saw it together. If you knew the plot going in, it wouldn't have hit you as good, I don't think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Wait, do you know what
Yeah.
Brigsby Bear is, Pete?
No, I don't. But I do agree that there's some movies that are constructed in a way that you can't even watch it if you know like a part that happens.
Yeah, like I'd say it's the same with Gone Girl. You ever seen
I haven't
Gone
seen
Girl?
I haven't
with
seen
Ben
Gone
Affleck?
Girl either.
Yeah, that's like, there's a lot of twists and turns in that. And if you know really what the main plot is, it takes away from it.
I could see that.
But that's a really interesting study.
Yeah, I think it's for more like, especially for more like traditional movies. You know,
Yeah.
like for instance, have you seen Lord of the Rings? My favorite movie.
Yes, I have.
I can't get into them. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
that's
sorry.
okay. Yeah, they're definitely not for everybody. But
Like, honest to God, I've tried watching the first one all the way through 5 times.
it's a good movie. First one's especially good. But the other
People
two are.
tell me that the second one is better, but I want to watch the first one all the way through before I watch the second one.
I would, if I were you, if you're struggling with the 3 hour aspect of it, maybe you should watch it in chunks. It's actually
I don't know if that's what it is.
way longer
Maybe it's
than the
just
first
like the
book.
5 times I've tried watching it, they just weren't the best watching conditions for me. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, I mean, but that's the kind of story that's like, we all know what's going to happen in the end, right? Like, the good guys have to pull through or the world's going to end.
Yeah.
So like, and it's more about deconstructing the how they're going to do this than it
that's
is
exactly right.
than it is the what's going to happen. And I think when you ruin a movie, when you ruin the ending of a movie for somebody, they can spend the whole time kind of deconstructing the how. And it's
exactly right.
It almost becomes like you know how like a detective will know what happened but need to figure out how it happened, so you could become like almost like a movie detective. So that's, I mean, there's fun in that as well. But I do recommend Lord of the Rings. I think it's I'm biased though, because when I was like my dad showed me Lord of the Rings when it first came out in like 2001, when I was like 5 years old. And it's just been a part of my life since that moment. I've seen each movie like 100 times. It's like ridiculous. Lord of the Rings, super fan. But highly recommend.
You bringing up that, that story thing, that's a great conversation I really quickly want to touch on, because I'm watching right now. There's this German show on Netflix called Dark.
I want to see Dark so bad.
You what, Pete?
I want to see Dark so bad.
Okay, so I started watching it. It's German. It's dubbed over in English.
I would just put subtitles on. Is there an option for that?
I think so. I didn't look.
There is. That's how I watched it. Or at least the first episode.
You did watch the first episode?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was cool. I don't know. I don't remember. I remember liking it a lot. I don't remember why I stopped
slow.
watching it. I might have just had too many things on my plate and haven't gotten back.
It's slow to get into. It's extremely complex.
That's probably why.
And do you know what it's about, Pete?
So I've seen the trailer a number of times, because it's one of those things on my list that I'm like, I'm gonna watch this right now, and then I never do, because I always get the vibe that it's just like Stranger Things but a little darker. But now I'm starting to think that it's nothing like Stranger Things, and that's gonna be really cool. I know that there's time travel involved.
Okay, that's all I needed you to say. So, me, without spoiling things, you're talking about, good guys have to prevail in the end, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's all about finding out that middle.
Mm-hmm.
My big problem with this series, Dark, is that everything, because it's time travel, everything is inevitable.
Yeah.
So everyone is on the quest to change the course of time, but everything is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching, thinking like, there's not going to be a point in this where something changes. That's my big gripe with it right now.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It's funny you say that, and circling back to the Dungeons and Dragons, and my storytelling in general, is that I will never do time travel. I avoid it at all costs. I really think that a lot of people think time travel can be done really well, but I think when you do time travel in a story, it closes more doors than it opens. Like, there's so many rules that have to be followed when you're doing time travel, especially time travel that goes backwards. Going forwards is fine, I think. Going backwards is really bad, because there's so many rules that need to be followed, or else, like, the whole, butterfly effect, all that stuff, like, the whole universe is gonna, like, become unraveled, like, if you, like, kill somebody, or whatever, or if you mess up, and then everything changes in the present, and you're, like, creating a bunch of different timelines. Like, I don't know. I think that there's so many wrong ways to do time travel that when I know something is about time travel, I'm immediately hesitant to, like, read or watch or, like, play it or whatever it is. But
sure.
I have only heard amazing reviews of Dark, so that's one of the reasons that I'm kind of, like, okay with the time traveling aspect of it.
It's definitely interesting. There's a lot of great twists and turns. I think, though, as a storyteller, you decide how complex you want to make it when it comes to time travel.
Mm-hmm.
This one's definitely really complex.
Yeah. Well, I think more complex is if you're gonna go the time travel route, you might as well go all the way. Like, you might as well make it super complex. And then,
They get into like the physics of it. Like they dove into it.
oh,
Meat
okay,
and
that's
potatoes.
cool. Way cooler with that than just
Yeah.
random time machine time travel.
No, it's definitely interesting. Yeah, we should definitely. I mean, I'd love to have you back on again, Pete, because we barely did talk about music, which I feel bad about.
No, I'm cool
But
with talking
also
about
because
whatever.
We'd love to follow up on the stuff with you.
I love talking about story. It's kind of my favorite thing to talk about, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, we kind of talked about it in the beginning. Like, we met you in passing, but we never really got to know you. I feel like I got to know you so much better. You seem like a great guy to talk about just things with in general.
Yeah,
We both
I
have
mean,
our
I
own
feel the
things.
same way about you guys. I'm always looking for good conversationalists. I don't think I'm a particularly good conversationalist because I think I dominate by just over talking. But I don't know. You told me not to think that, so maybe I am really good.
I thought this was a really strong episode.
Yeah.
This is one of our more different episodes because again we strayed away from the music stuff. But that's
What makes it so great.
That's what makes it so great.
I mean, yeah,
We're not
that's
just
that's
musicians.
part of the fun,
and you're
right?
the guest, Pete. So like, hopefully the people listening to this are people who like want to know more about you, like me.
Oh, I mean, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a ton of fun. I don't know. I think it's like talking about music's great, and I love talking about music. But I think talking about music and then also talking about other stuff that's not music kind of makes us more of a community than just a bunch of people who all make music.
Welcome back, guys. Hope you enjoyed that wonderful interview with Pete Kline.
That was great.
It was great.
Stupendous.
Hopefully you stuck through the Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings stuff. I'm a big sucker for that, but I know not everybody is.
Yeah, I almost
this
left.
guy.
I almost tapped out of my own podcast.
I am going to start a D&D campaign with him soon.
We're gonna hold you to it.
Maybe we can film that. Get a little content going.
Yeah, more content the merrier. We can. Yeah, we'll live stream on Twitch or something. Monetize it. It's all business, baby. It's all you gotta be thinking 3 steps ahead. That's
Welcome
what
back
it's
to
all
Business
about.
Town.
Welcome to. We should start a secondary podcast, Business Town, and we just tell people to get random stocks, and then they get mad at us because they give up their life savings on wrong decisions.
This was all just the plot to get you guys to listen to our business podcast.
Yeah, Business Town coming soon.
We're not even in a band.
No, I was a analytics major.
And I was a business. I was just a business. Not,
It was a business.
I was just a business.
2020 America for you folks. What can I say? Anyway, if you're still listening to this music podcast, if you want to even call it that, we hope you enjoyed our conversation with Pete Kline of Stand and Wave, and we're going to leave you with a little tune here of, what did he called it? Something along the lines of a Splashton Kutcher.
Splush. That was my attempt at a splash noise.
What's your favorite Ashton Kutcher performance?
I don't know. He was pretty good in the Butterfly Effect. We touched on that.
I never saw that
in the
movie.
interview. It's dramatic.
Yeah?
Dramatic.
He's good in Dude, Where's My Car? He's
Yeah.
really good in Cheaper by the Dozen.
I'm gonna say, Dude, Where's My Car? Final answer. Lock it in.
In Cheaper by the... Ashton Kutcher was one of the first people to do that thing where they give out their cell phone number and you text them or whatever. Are you familiar with this concept? This new thing that celebrities are doing where they like go on a talk show and they say, here's my cell phone number. Feel free to text me. Obviously, they get a lot of text, but like if you have a question, I'll let you know. But also, I'll be texting you like updates about myself. And so I texted him because I had a question. I don't know if you remember in Cheaper by the Dozen, but there's a scene where the dozen kids, they put pants in his underwear and their dog bites his Johnson. And my question to him was if he was wearing a cup or if there was a stuntman or something. And he never responded.
Please get back to us, Ashton, as soon as you can.
Yeah, we know
The
Ashton's
podcast
listening.
depends on you.
Anyway, without further ado, we hope you come back soon to Soundtown. Here is Splash and Kutcher by Stand and Wave.
Hey dude, can you hear me over comes from your TV. I'm tired and dirty, and I'm taking the turnpike the fuck out of Jersey. Of Stratego and Jumanji. My armor's so tight on me that neither your words or your arrows can hurt me. And hey dude, it's been a while, mate. You wanna come over, watch basketball highlights, and maybe we could go get a bite to eat. Our order came out around 22:50. And I keep having the same damn dream where someone I used to know is helping me out. And I keep hearing the same damn thing like, hey dude, let's chill, but you're on the couch. And I keep having these memories of laughing at kombucha and flaxseed, eating French fries in your backseat, and hurrying home to a couch where I am singing yoga is just stretching for people so much prettier than me, with someone to lend them some change or hand. They let me flex over in likes on their Instagram. I keep having the same damn dream where someone I used to know is helping me out. And I keep hearing the same damn thing like, hey dude, let's chill, but you're on the couch. And I keep having the same damn dream where someone I